actually called out the winner, but I'm not sure he's going to be fighting anytime soon. I don't know if you saw the main event. It was a nasty knockout for him. Yeah, what's your thoughts on that?
I think, was my here? Yeah. It was actually Tye who really wants that matchup. You know, I know Tye's actually been looking for that one for a minute now. Both of us are open to it for sure. You know, I'd be more than willing to get in there with him. Like you said though, he had a pretty rough one tonight. You know, that KO finish was nasty, and you know, when he is recovered and ready for it, you know, I think a jiu-jitsu match, you know, is probably not as intimidating as someone like Anatoly, correct?
Yeah, sorry, it was Tye, my bad.
Yeah, sure.
I know you called for a couple of guys in your division, Kenny. Said they're injured, you fighting injured today. So you think they're ducking you or what?
Yeah, guaranteed at this point. Guaranteed, I think so. You know, especially Tye. You know, it's you know, I don't like to, you know, be too persistent, call too many people out, you know, but it's got to a point where they either got to take it or leave it, I guess, you know. So I think they are a bit scared.
Yeah, Tye, as you get the finish tonight and the bonus, is that gym finally complete then now?
Yeah, you know, that probably did it for sure, and we're so stoked to get it done and finished. It's a dream of ours since we were little kids to own our own gym, and to do it in our favorite place in the world, Costa Rica, is just a dream come true. You know, life's been so good, and really once it's been life-changing for us, and you know, the bonuses from Chautry, so we're just going to keep it going and you know, keep the good vibes rolling.
If you can't have Dorita, who would you like then next?
Well, I haven't really thought that far, to be honest. Whoever, you know, my brother has the 170 belt, and I can still make it down to 170 with some time, but I want to be fighting for a belt, you know, and my brother and I can have a match at some point for sure. We can market that, and it'll be a crazy, absolute bar burner of a match. I'm technically 0-3 against him in competition, so I think I want that one a bit more than he does. You know, but for me, you know, I want to get maybe start at 185-pound division, you know, and get the belt for there, and then that doesn't work out. No, I'm open to fighting anyone. My thing, I love fighting big guys and beating bigger people. You know, I feel like that's the true essence of jiu-jitsu. You know, pure technique, you should be able to beat someone no matter the size. So really anyone in the world, the bigger the better.
I mean, I know I've got a few brothers, and anytime I see them getting the spotlight, sometimes I feel real jealous. I know you're not like that, but you know, seeing him in the co-main event tonight with the big belt, it's a part of you just, yeah, really, I know you say support each other, but do you want that as well for this one?
Yeah, like I said, you know, we've both gone through waves of opportunity, right? And right now my brother's killing the belt and being the co-main, and for sure I'd like to be there as well, but I know my opportunity is going to come sooner or later. So as long as I keep doing my thing, keep submitting, and bring up good performances, I'll have a belt around my waist, and yeah, be right there with my brother.
We have questions from Zoom. I'm going to ask from Jiu-Jitsu Times. For Kate, is there anything you'd do differently against Mateus if you win?
That's a great question. Looking back at the match, you know, it's still, matches once you have them are always kind of a blur, you know, until you really go back and watch them. But first thing that come to mind, something that my brother told me, is probably attacking the heel hooks a bit more. You know, I got a really tight knee bar attack. That was, you know, I felt a couple pops in there. But I think the knee bar definitely probably could have put him out for good for that match. So probably a bit more heel hook attacks. I was really trying everything I could. You know, people really tend to be very preventative against us. They don't like to go for underhooks. They don't like to wrestle up, things like that, because they know our chokes and things are such bigger threats. So I guess probably going for the heel hook.
Another one from Jiu-Jitsu Times. For Tye, was your call out of the reader fueled by your success in the ADCC Absolute Division this year? And what did you learn from matches against heavyweights like Muragali and Pedra that you would take into a match against the region?
Yeah, absolutely. I started fighting bigger people a little while ago, and the reason for that being is my brother and I, we always were the same size growing up. In the last couple of years, I've had maybe a 5-pound weight advantage on him. So I've just been fighting going up in division so we can kind of stay away from each other. Because at the end of the day, I don't like to fight him that much. He's super tough, and you know, it's my brother at the end of the day, right? So I've been moving up, fighting all the big guys, and I'm figuring out the formula. You know, I had some success in the beginning, and every match I have, I'm becoming more and more successful with it. At ACC, I had a couple little hiccups, but I still didn't even feel like I was outclassed in any way, shape, or form. If anything, I just ran out of time. So I'm really excited to keep it going, keep fighting these big guys, and yeah, when the Raider gets all healed up, I'll be stoked to put a darts on him.
Good one from me, guys. Tye, you first. I kind of think most people expected you to just blow through Murat really quickly. Of course, you got the sub. It was a beautiful performance. Were you surprised at all that he hung in there as long as he did? Because I kind of was.
No, yeah, he's a super, super tough individual. You know, I never underestimate my opponents, but I definitely wasn't expecting his strength for sure. I was also doing my best to make the match as exciting as possible, so I gave up a few different positions I normally wouldn't have. Right? Normally I go pass, take down, and submit. And I was going for a buggy choke, kind of gave bottom position, and that kind of slowed me down a little bit. But yeah, my goal every time I step on the mat is just to defend something that they haven't seen before, or something that really gravitates their interest. So yeah, the match definitely took a little bit longer than I thought, but yeah, it was a really good match, and he's a super, super tough individual. You know what? A lot of respect to Murat for accepting the match. Even I'm pretty much in my prime right now. I still got I feel like a couple more years even to be in my prime, and he's I don't want to say he's older, that's kind of disrespectful, but he's been around a long time, and and also made out of catch weight on top of that, right? So he's an absolute beast, and I got a lot of respect for the guy. So I hope to see him again in one and smashing it.
And then another one for both of you. I guess, Kate, you can answer this one since you just had a turn. We get to see you guys fight. We get to catch you at these post-fight press conferences. But what are the moments backstage like after you both win? What do you talk about? I mean, how does that look for those of us that don't get to see that part?
For sure. My brother and I think we, in the most humble way possible, we see ourselves as the best in the world at our weight. So the first kind of discussion we had after both of our matches were what were our mistakes. And we made sure to tell each other our mistakes. We're never too shy about that. I told him, don't do that Dar celebration unless we Dar someone. He's like, that's my signature though. So we're always pretty truthful with each other, and I guess the first thing is always fixing our mistakes.
Yeah, that's the thing. Always trying to better ourselves, and when you have a twin brother, there's no one in the world you're more comfortable with, right? So definitely are each other's biggest critics, right? But also are each other's biggest supporters. So yeah, always celebrate for a little bit of a minute. If it's a great performance, there's not too much to criticize, right? And then both of us today made some mistakes, so go back to the lab, fix them, and work on it.
Hey, Gabe, congratulations on the win. Could you talk us through that, video game move you did? You twisted up in the air, you ended up catching Gabriel's heel.
Yeah. For sure, man. I was honestly getting a bit frustrated because I kind of was almost expecting something like that, where his guard was going to be very, flexible, very strong, and he wasn't going to be doing a whole lot of risky things, So I just wanted to try and give a show and try my best to throw something crazy out there. I've done that pass a couple of times, and then he did a great push off it, so it kind of ended up right where his legs were, and I was like, I'll just take his leg instead, and it was right there. And I think that was my tightest submission of the entire match. As I said, I felt a couple of little pops in there. And he definitely had a little grimace in his face, so it was definitely pretty tight.
Did you think you were going to get him with a finish at that point?
I did. After I felt it pop a couple of times, I put my hips in even more as hard as I could, and I thought for sure he was going to tap. But there's a lot of those type of guys, those style guard players. They've been through it. They've let their legs break so many times. They're almost painless, in those scenarios. So I wouldn't say painless, but they just let it go. There's a classic situation. Our first ADCC, my brother and followed me out. One of the nastiest leg breaks I've ever seen, and just didn't tap. Those guys are crazy. They'd rather, die than tap, right? So I was definitely surprised he didn't tap, for sure.
Thanks.
Absolutely, thank you.
The question is from Kate. How did it feel to walk out and be announced as the champion for the first title defense?
It felt amazing, it was honestly a bit of pressure as well, knowing that I had to, like I said, it's not really your champ until you defend it for the first time, right? So, but just hearing the accolade as I was walking out was amazing, and it's something I can't wait to look forward to the next one as well. I want to hold that for the rest of my life.
You mentioned that you were dealing with a rib injury. How is it feeling now, and how did it feel during the match?
To be honest, it felt good during the match. My adrenaline kicked in, and that's something I gotta thank the competition for. You a lot of the times you don't feel your injuries with the adrenaline and all that, and I'm feeling not too bad right now. I feel it, especially when I hinge over my right side, but just cruising right here, I don't feel it too bad. So thankful for that. Definitely get some work done on it when I get back home, and coming strong for the next one.
Let's have one more question, please.
Okay, so question for Tye. You mentioned in the post-fight interview that you wanted to go for the signature Ruotolo with the Darsh turrets and body turret, but you weren't successful and you ended up winning by a wrist lock. Is the wrist lock going to be the next evolution of the Ruotolo brother game?
Man, shout out Pete the Greek, wrist lock the world. I got a good friend Pete, man. He's the king of the wrist locks. So yeah, I definitely when I had him in the triangle, I could have gone immediately to the arm bar, but I wanted to almost do that as a tribute to him. So he's such a good guy, Pete. So yeah, I threw in the wrist lock, and it's a super tight submission. You know, we definitely got to keep evolving. We got to get back to the lab with Pete so he can show me some more stuff. But yeah, wrist locks are fun. It's a cheeky move. No one thinks they're real until it happens, right? So yeah, I was stoked to kind of get that wrist lock, turn it into an arm bar. Yeah, it was a lovely stuff. Thank you.
Question for both of you. There were a lot of cheers in the crowd when there was a change of position or a near submission. So obviously the understanding of grappling among mainstream fans is growing. Do you guys foresee submission grappling becoming as mainstream as MMA anytime in the future?
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. It's crazy to see the fans getting more and more knowledgeable of each event. And it's really just up to the competitors to keep it as exciting as possible, right? As long as we keep doing our job, then it should be mainstream no matter what. It's a really exciting sport, and it's a sport where anyone can do it, right? A lot of people don't want to get punched in the face, right? A lot of people, don't want to fight, right? So you can be doing jiu-jitsu your entire life. And I know when I'm 50 years old, I'm going to be training jiu-jitsu. I'm not going to be doing any striking, that's for sure, right? I'm going to be cruising, so yeah.
Yeah, and I think jiu-jitsu is one of the only sports in the world where there's thousands and thousands of techniques and more being created every day. There's only so many punches and knees and elbows, right? There's so many different techniques and there's so many different variations. But like Tye said, it's up to the athletes to make it exciting, and that's kind of been the whole back in jiu-jitsu. A lot of athletes play by the rules, try to squeak out wins. And I think that's why one is the future of submission grappling. Their rule set, they make it exciting, and they bring exciting people on. So as long as one keeps doing that, the future for jiu-jitsu is bright for sure.
Last two questions from Zoom for Kate. There's a trend recently in WOD where champs move around in weight classes. We know you plan on getting a second belt in MMA, but will you stick to your own division or bounce around?
For the submission grappling, I reckon I'll try to defend this belt as much as I can. Stay here for now, especially that my brother is in the division above me, possibly taking on all the big guys right now. As far as MMA goes, I reckon I'll be fighting about 170, possibly even get down to 155 too. We'll see. But yeah, honestly, we'll see with time for sure.
Okay, last question for Tye. What's one thing all fans should know about you? The first thing people should think of when they hear the name Tye Ruotolo.
I hope exciting. that's my main goal, is to be exciting and respectful at the same time. That's what jiu-jitsu is all about, is showing respect to your opponent and going for the kill. So that's what I want to represent. I want to represent jiu-jitsu to the highest form possible. And yeah, I like to think we're doing a good job. We're going to keep it going.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thanks, guys.